Right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing today? On my side, I'm doing very well. Thanks for joining me, guys. And please, to those who just joined us here, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that next time when we upload another video, you'll get a notification. So, guys, last night when I was busy doing my researches, as a creator I have this time yandofana wopinda pa social media pamasaisai echi indaneti papapa ndichimbotsvaka kuti ndezvipi zvakavanzika zvinenge zviri kuseri kweko zvinenge zvida kuti ndiuye nazvo panapa. Imimi timu rangu munge muchiziva nevamwe vana vezimbabwe munge muchiziva naiga uye nemamwe maafricans vange vachiziva kuti ndezvipi zvinenge zviri kuseri kwezvavasingazivi, but tikazoya nazvo panapa munge muchiziva naiga. So when I was busy scrolling, I made this video from this guy. He's a South African. So what was he saying? Ane this issue yaizama kuaddressa, yaizama kuanalyze achitsanangurira vanhu kuti why is it South Africa yakachuza Air Zimbabwe kuti inde inoita bring back their injured soldiers ne two female soldiers anga are pregnant back home from DRC Ngoma uko kwavaka capture nechi nema M23s. Kuti ku DRC there's a situation that is not good ne kuda kwechi kuma M23s. So I'm going to play the video. After playing the video, mobva mazonduza kuti mimi muri kufungei nenyaya iyi mu comment section. Naiga.
Good afternoon. All right. Why did South Africa decide to use Air Zimbabwe's planes to go and rescue its soldiers who were injured and two who were pregnant in DRC? Unless you don't know, it was the Zimbabwe Airways, the Zimbabwe airline, the Boeing 707, the old one, that actually went and collected South African soldiers and who were injured in DRC. I think it was over 100 of them, and brought them back home safely. Yes. So what was the tactic? What was the reason for that? South Africa obviously has a lot of private planes, a lot of has its own SAA, has a lot of its own planes. So, but why did it decide to go to Zimbabwe, considered very poor, considered very ungovernable, considered to be a no country at all by many South Africans? Why did the South African government decide to use Zimbabwe Airways, Air Zimbabwe, a plane from a country of one of the most hated groups of Africans in South Africa?
Most hated, yeah, pakaipa. Most hated rutaurwa ndimi maZimbabweans. Tisu maZimbabweans, yeah. Tripama one.
This is the plane that went to rescue South African soldiers, if you didn't know. That is the plane that flew to Goma and came back with those soldiers. It's a bit ironic, isn't it? But then maybe when we look outside South Africa, there are a lot of Africans who understand that to be black is to be one. To be African is to be one. Does not matter where you come from. If you are African, you are African. It does not matter where you come from. Does not matter your social standing or anything. But also, let's look at the tactic about it. Obviously, South Africa sending its own planes into Goma would have sparked a lot of problems, especially diplomatically, and also it would have maybe created a scenario where the M23 rebels, or so-called Rwanda's M23 rebels, I prefer to call them Rwanda's M23 rebels, because that is what they are. It would have created a situation of these guys ending up maybe shooting down the plane. So the best would have been to send Zimbabwe and sort of like create some sort of neutrality of some sort, to say that no, we have not come to reinforce or to try and fight you, we've just come to take our injured. But also remember, Zimbabwe is the one that fought the Africa's Great War, the DRC War, from 1998 all the way to 2004, and defeated Rwanda and Uganda and its own rebels, some of them now coming out as to M23 in DRC. So they know the ins and outs of that area. They know the area very well. They know the terrain very well. So it could only be that could be the country that would go and rescue South African soldiers. Because remember, at some point they were going to come home, and then suddenly the issue was abandoned. That would have actually told us that maybe the M23 rebels are uneasy about South Africa bringing its own planes into DRC airspace. Or maybe the M23 rebels needed somebody who actually could be intimidating to them, so that they do not attack the plane, knowing the consequences that will come after that. The Great War of 1998 to 2004 resulted in Zimbabwe going in all places across DRC, so they know that area. So in any case, right now we are sitting with the M23 rebels, who are still holding South African soldiers, a lot of them, and other SADC soldiers in DRC. If there was going to be a future rescue mission, or if a war was going to break out, I don't wish any war on anyone, because bombs exploding all over the place is not something that we must take lightly. But if there was going to be a rescue mission, let's say the M23 rebels say that we are not going to release your soldiers, Zimbabwe, Namibia and Angola will be the best placed people to actually go in there and rescue the situation, because they know the terrain, they know everything there. So if it was to happen that in future there is need to go and rescue South African soldiers and some SADC soldiers that are stuck in that area, we know that when Uganda and Rwanda were about to take Kinshasa in 1998 to 1999, Zimbabwean soldiers flew and were airdropped into Kinshasa. About a battalion of about 600, a commando of about 600 to 900, dropped overnight into Kinshasa and then secured all national installations. By the time Uganda and Rwanda tried to launch an offensive against the DRC army in Kinshasa to take over Kinshasa, they found that Zimbabwe had already taken over and they were shambocked all the way back to Rwanda and Uganda. So let's say in future, if we are going to have a situation where we need to rescue, so please don't mistake this. I'm not saying where we need to go to war. Where we need to rescue SADC soldiers that are stuck and being held in DRC by the M23 rebels, right? Because I believe the M23 rebels might be holding SADC soldiers, especially South African soldiers, as a ransom of some sort to prevent any attempt to attack or regroup and come back stronger, right? While they are setting up their own administrations in the Bukavu, Goma area. But if it was to happen, we know that Zimbabwean soldiers can easily fly in there and drop from air, and they can easily send, coordinate with South Africa to actually do a very good job to rescue the guys that are there. But also remember, if we are saying the soldiers were rescued that were injured, then it means that there was at least a chance at reconnaissance to see what exactly is happening, what are the situations in there, and all that. But maybe the days will tell us what exactly is happening. But let's come back. Zimbabwe is the one that was sent with Air Zimbabwe to go into DRC and brought all the South African soldiers home safe, all those that were injured. Quite a bit ironic considering that in South Africa at the moment, Zimbabweans are one of the most hated groups of Africans, maybe after Nigerians at the moment, right? But you don't hear anything coming from Zimbabwe protesting about how their plane was used to go and rescue South Africans who hate them as well when they are in South Africa and whatsoever. Because I believe that many other Africans believe that Simunye, we are one. There's no need to fight. There's no need to do all these funny things that are actually happening. But quite interesting, but I believe you have the information. Zimbabwe is the one that was sent to DRC, and Zimbabwe is the one that brought our soldiers back home.
Yeah, so hanze kudzidza kuperi. Just let me know, guys, zvamunofunga about this whole story, kuti muri kufungewo nenyaya iyi mu comment section. I'm sure maZimbabweans mune zvakawanda zvokutaura.